Okay, so Bel Air is back with this final season. Why didn't nobody tell me it was the final season? I had to find out once I put it up on Peacock. I feel like it's so much more story left to tell, but you know, obviously they're probably gonna wrap it up with this season 4. So I'm gonna be doing all 3 episodes. So I'm gonna try to go through them as fast as possible, since they are like 45-hour episodes. But every Monday when it comes out, I'm probably gonna post my review either Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm only doing 3 because they dropped the 3 before. I don't know if everybody's done figured, like, I don't know if everybody done finished all 3 episodes yet. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make these into like chapters on the video. So if you finish episode 1 but you haven't finished episode 2 yet, you can be able to cut the video off once episode 2 review comes up. All right, so we're gonna start with the recap, kind of just wrapping up like what season 3 was about. So Will and Carlton, they do Black Excellence. Black Excellence is booming, and you know, Lisa and Will get back together. Vivian looks at the pregnancy test and she's like, and it's positive, just after they was talking about, you know, oh, so happy that all the kids are finna be like, they finna have an empty nest finally. Amira has her OD, and then she has to go to rehab, which ultimately leads to her and Carlton like breaking up in a sense, since they weren't talking anymore. Hillary gets married, and then as we see, what was his name, LaMarcus was in the bed, he wasn't responding, and so it's assumed that he's dead once season 3 ends. Geoffrey tries to buy his way out the gang, and obviously they wasn't going for that. So in terms, Will is kidnapped, and then that's what the episode ends. And then we open up with episode 1 of season 4. So it's Will running, and he's having like flashbacks to what it seems like he's fighting back at the guys who had like picked him up off the street. Then it was just that, like, it cuts off that flashback. We really don't get to see much. Then it's confirmed that Hillary's husband LaMarcus had died, and I feel like they may have did that to kind of set her up getting back with Jazz, because I felt like LaMarcus kind of came out of nowhere. Like, obviously, like, that was her first love, but I liked her and Jazz better together. To me, it just seemed kind of just rushed with that relationship. So I don't know. We gonna see. Aunt Viv, she still hasn't told anybody that she's pregnant. Then we go to Black Sis popping off at the school. They're showing Will and Carlton walking through, handing out orders. They get sold out. Like, they're sold out within minutes. And Carlton getting all the girls now because of Black Sis, and Black Sis popping off, and he's changed his ways. Now he popping off, he got his swagger. So Carlton, Will, and Lisa, they meet up, they're talking, and Will gets bumped into on accident. And when he gets bumped, he has a flashback, right? A PTSD flashback. And then, so you remember how I said at the beginning of the episode, it starts off with him running, and then they just stopped at that. So they bring back more flashbacks. He gets bumped, and it shows that they take him into the car, and then they're like grabbing him by his collar, and they're like, where is Geoffrey? And then he's like, I don't know. And then he snaps back into reality. Oh, whoa, hold on. They ask him where's Geoffrey, and then it fast forward to like him being in the car. Geoffrey opens the door, and then he's like, run. And then Will's kind of like, he kind of hesitates, and he was like, wait, Geoffrey, da da da. And he's like, go. So he takes off running, and then it cuts off there. Snaps back into reality, and Lisa and Carlton are asked like, oh, it happened again, didn't it? So that just shows like this has been a thing that he's been dealing with for a while. So then they move on to Hillary. And since her LaMarcus had died, she hasn't been handling the grief properly. We can see where Phil tries to step in and talk to her, because she had been like doing a lot of like appearances and speaking at like memorials for him and stuff. So it feels kind of like, you know, you've been doing a lot of these like ever since he died. Like, have you taken time to heal? And she's kind of just brushing it off. So that's what like making me believe that she's not handling that grief properly. And she feels like when they see her, they think of a LaMarcus, so it helps them feel that closure. So essentially, she was just doing it for the fans and all the people who had been close to him. Aunt Viv, she's at the doctor and nervous because she falls into like the high risk pregnancy, but the doctor reassures her like, look, like your health is great, you have nothing to worry about. And the doctor's like congratulating her, but you can tell like Viv is not all that excited. Like something is definitely on her mind, because like while she's being congratulated, she's just like, oh yeah, you know, just kind of trying to brush it off. So then that kind of closes out that scene. But I was definitely like, yeah, we're finna find out some more stuff about how she's feeling towards this pregnancy, or maybe if she gonna do something, you know, regarding getting rid of the pregnancy. So then Ashley, y'all know she had has a boyfriend now, Eli, and that was the one who was always like coming over once upon a time. And while Eli and Ashley are talking, she pulls out a pregnancy test from you know, Aunt Viv's bathroom. So he's like, whoa, like, you know, what you doing with that? And she was like, I think my mom is pregnant. And then she was like, he was like, have you told anybody? And she was like, no, I haven't, because, you know, obviously she hasn't said anything for a reason. Like, I'm gonna respect her privacy. And then Carlton and Will come up, so she hurries and puts it away. And, you know, they start doing, you know, messing with Eli. And then, yeah, we move on. And Amira comes back. She comes back and she surprises Carlton, and she tells him like, she's enrolled in Bel Air Academy. So now it's awkward, but it's an awkward tension between them with how Carlton's acting. He's being awkward, and I assume it's due to, you know, Carlton moving on. He getting, you know, he has his eyes on another girl. He had his eyes on this cheerleader, and it's kind of just like, you know, some tension there, right? But Amira's not picking up on that tension. And then we go to Will. So Will, he wants to find Geoffrey, and he remembers like where he was taken, and he's trying to get like camera footage to see if he can find anything from that. So I'm assuming a license plate, right? So Jazz helps him out. They go over to this lady's flower shop. They talk her into getting the camera footage, and that was that. So that was that scene. Then we move on to another scene. So Carlton and Lisa are talking. And it kind of goes back to, you know, when Carlton and Amira had first saw each other. And he tells her, like, I'm not going to lie, like, I moved on, and I don't like how she's constantly talking about rehab. Because, you know, if you recall, like, well, yeah, obviously that was the biggest storyline for Carlton when he had that addiction to, what was it, coke, I believe? Yeah, coke addiction. And he, you know, everybody found out about it. It was very embarrassing for him. And it's just something that he wants to move on from. So I think like Amira coming back is kind of like bringing up like past memories that he kind of wanted to avoid, because now she's just talking about like how her experience of like ODing and going to rehab has just like changed her so much. And she's talking like highlighting all the cool things that she learned in rehab, but he really doesn't like that. And he really wants to distance himself from that. But he's also saying like, I'm off her now. Like we really didn't talk the whole time she was gone. So Lisa's kind of just like telling him like, you know, just say that then stop just tap dancing around it. So then we go back to Will. So Will finds the license plate and shares it with Carlton and Lisa. And they express their concerns about Will because he's having these episodes. So obviously I can see that Will is not handling, you know, what happened to him well. And he's kind of just trying to brush it off. Like every time they bring it up, he's like, I'm fine, like I'm good. As if that's not something alarming that somebody should be helping him with. So then he goes on to ask Carlton for help cleaning up the picture because the picture of the license plate, because the picture is blurry. And then, you know, Carlton was good with the computer stuff. So Carlton refuses as he feels like it's not okay. Like Will is not okay, and that he should let Uncle Phil handle it. So then Will goes home and Phil questions Will about why he left school. So forgot to mention like earlier, I kind of peeped that this was gonna happen earlier when Phil was having a meeting, and while he was having a meeting, he was checking Life 360, and he says to the man he's having a meeting with, I forgot his name. It's the one who he doing Legacy Heights with. So he says to the man, he's like, oh, you know, I'm just checking to make sure everybody good. And he was just like, the man's like, oh, like they grown, like, no, you know, just saying like, oh, at their age I was doing this, that, and the third, kind of just laughing at him a bit, joking around with him for checking on his kid's location. But little does he know that it was because Will had got kidnapped. So I feel like when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, he's definitely gonna peep that Will was off campus. So he questioned him. It was like, why you left school? And then Will kind of was like, oh, just went to go get lunch, kind of lies. And so that's when Phil goes, okay, well, why were you outside of Geoffrey's apartment? So Will gets mad and he's just like, why aren't you? Basically saying like, you're not doing enough to find out what happened. So I feel like I got to take things into my own hands, because Will is he's having trouble with this. He can't sleep. Like, it's on his mind. He hasn't heard from Geoffrey, and he just feels like nobody's moving with enough urgency when it came to him. So he felt like he had to take it in his own hands. So we move on to Viv. And Viv is tap dancing around the fact that she's pregnant. So I think she wanted to tell Phil, but she ended up saying like, oh, she was commissioned to paint for Regina Baxter, Dean of Pledges. Because she ends up telling, dang, I don't even remember I don't even remember the side character's name, but the girl, her friend, who had asked her if she could paint for Regina, she ends up telling her like, oh, I'm pregnant, So I feel like Viv was really wanting to tell, in that next scene, was wanting to tell Phil that she was pregnant, but he was just like, oh, I need some good news. And to her, she doesn't really feel like that's good news. So I feel like when he said that, that's when she was kind of like, okay, maybe I should change it and actually say some good news. So, but I feel like she should have told him, I don't know. I feel like she should have told him in that moment, like, come on, they 3 kids in. I'm sure he'll be okay. So yeah, Will is working on college application, and he has like an episode again. And this time we see him running, and he turns around and he looks into the different distance. So this is after, Geoffrey tells him to get out of the car. He's running. So he turns around and he looks into the distance and he yells out Geoffrey's name. So that's maybe alluding to something that we haven't seen yet that happened, that he saw happen to Geoffrey, which is why he is so like adamant on like, why haven't y'all heard from Geoffrey? Why aren't y'all doing nothing? Because he's seen something that we haven't seen yet. All right. So Carlton ends up helping clear up the photo, and he just says like, I owe the favor back, since you like I know when somebody's spiraling, and you helped me when I was spiraling, and I just want to return the favor. And Will's very appreciative of that. So Hillary speaks at another memorial, right, for LaMarcus at Bel Air, because they went to Bel Air, and then that's where they met. So she's just recalling on like, this is where she met him, and just being here just reminds her of all the good times. And she stares at the picture, and once she stares at the picture, I already knew where it was going, and she kind of just goes silent into her blank stare. And she breaks down and says he didn't deserve an early death, and he deserved better than her. So I'm assuming she feels guilty for kissing Jazz, because it happened. He found out on the wedding day. But, he was cool with it. But, obviously when grief happens, you have a way of trying to blame yourself and feeling like you could have did something differently. But, yeah. So she runs off, and, Viv and Phil kind of take over for her. So now that Will has the license plate picture, Jazz has a friend who helps, who works at the DMV. So, he got the hookup, and Jazz comes over to help him, figure out, where these people live at that took him. So while he's there, Hillary walks through the door, and they see each other for the first time. Earlier in this episode, Jazz was talking to Will about Hillary. He was like, I haven't reached out to her yet. I don't know what to do. I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to make a move on her. He was just in a very awkward place, right? Especially since they had kissed. So so she gets there, and then Will kind of motions him go say something. And he goes to give his condolences and explains why he didn't reach out, and it goes absolutely terrible. Hillary says he's the last person that she wants to see, and she told him to leave her the F alone, and she left out. So Jazz is just left stuck, and he's kind of hurt, and I feel bad because Jazz really loves Hillary, and it's just such a unfortunate circumstance that now she's resenting him because of something that wasn't really even his fault. It takes 2 to tango, but now she's resenting him for the fact that she even did that to her now dead husband. So Phil and Viv, they grab the kids. They hey, we got to talk to you about some they want to share some exciting news, and they pour up some champagne, right? So Viv says actually, I don't want anything to drink right now. Y'all remember Ashley knows, she saw the pregnancy test, so Ashley's kind of pressing the issue. She any specific reason? And Carlton's what's up with you? Wait, yeah, so she's what's up with you, and Phil shares Viv is painting, and Ashley kind of like on her face, you can see like, oh, okay, like a moment of relief, but confusion. I don't know. I don't know, because I feel like she did it on purpose. She's like, so you're not pregnant. And then everybody's like, wait, what? And Phil said, like, why would she be pregnant? And Ashley just talks about, you know, the pregnancy test she saw. So Viv, you know, obviously put on the spot. She's like, yeah, I'm pregnant. And as we can see on Phil's face, and he's like visibly upset. He really has like no words. While Carlton and Will's like, hey, like, you know, congratulations. Ashley's like, you know, happy about it. And I don't know. It could have been, I could be misinterpreted it, but I feel like Ashley did that on purpose. Obviously, but I don't understand why she would do it on purpose. That's why I feel like I might be misinterpreted it wrong, but I don't know. So then, you know, it goes next to Phil and Viv in the bed, and they're kind of just like really just thinking, like pondering, like dang, 64, we're gonna be 64 when the baby graduates. They talk about how they was looking forward to the empty nest, everything they was gonna do. Now that all the kids are gonna be out, was gonna be at the house in the next couple of years. But you know, Phil ends up reassuring her that like everything is gonna be okay, and no matter what, like I'm gonna be right by your side. And I like that, because you can tell she was very worried about it, and it just wasn't good news to her. Like she was just, you know, it wasn't a good moment in your life, was not, you know, as exciting for her as it probably was in the past. So I'm glad that he reassures her and lets her know, like, we're gonna get through this together. Like no matter what, like even if we gotta be picking up a 5-year-old from daycare or school, and we over here like 50 years old, you know what I'm saying? Like, so they play the scene of Will running again, and this time it shows the men dragging Geoffrey dragging Geoffrey into the car after Will hears a gunshot, and then that's all we see. So then we see Hillary and Will talking to each other, and I feel like this was a good scene that kind of represented how grief works, you know what I'm saying? Like how people feel while they handle the grief, because we have two people who are dealing with two different types of griefs. Someone who just experienced a partner dying, and then someone who had just been kidnapped, and he's trying to cope with the fact that actually happened to him, and he saw somebody that he was close to get shot. So they're just sitting there blaming themselves. Like Hillary blamed herself, putting like stress on LaMarcus, like he wasn't even cleared to take the flight, and I guess to the destination where they had. And Will was like, well, maybe if I didn't go to like Geoffrey's apartment, like maybe if I fought back harder. And Hillary's like, well, maybe if I had called 911 faster, he wouldn't have to take his last breath in my arms. And that's just, it was a good scene, just depicting on how like grief really affects people, because regardless, I just don't think it's like, yes, a lot of times things happen time and place, but it's also like Hillary, he had a condition at the end of the day. But you still want to blame yourself and think it's things that you could have did better. So I did like this scene. So, you know, Hillary's just like, nothing's making me feel better. Like even being around family, like I just gotta go. And so she's going off to Costa Rica to process how she's feeling. And she's going to a wellness center in Costa Rica as well. So Carlton has an interview with Princeton, and he can tell like the interviewer is dissatisfied, like, and he asks what's wrong. And so he just tells Carlton, like, you know, I've seen multiple people like you know, perfect scores, good grades, and you know, y'all are all excellent. Basically just showing him that like you're not standing out to me. You're just amongst a bunch of people who also apply to Ivy Leagues and have good test scores and good GPA. And so that's when Carlton was like, I'm a recovering addict. And he's like, okay, thank you for telling me. So then he gives the story on how he was like, he almost OD'd in the pool and he had to be resuscitated. And that was a mirror story, right? Right? Am I tweaking, or did that happen to Carlton too? Because I recall a mirror falling into the pool and overdosing. So that was weird how he used her story. But let me know, y'all. Let me know in the comments if I'm tripping, if that actually happened to him as well. So then we go to Will. He's sitting outside the house of the people who took him, and Will misses his check-in meeting with the the lady who's helping them with the college process, right? So he misses check-in, and then the lady goes to Carlton. She's like, hey, Will missed his meeting. And he was like, he did? She's like, it's his future. Like, let him know, like, it's his future. And so that's when Carlton, it rings on alarms, and Carlton, like, oh, he's maybe at the people's house. So Geoffrey shows up in Philly. Geoffrey shows up in Phil's office in an arm sling, and Geoffrey blames himself for what happened to Will. Phil kind of brushes him off, as if okay, you're gonna be here all the time, whatever, cause this is the first time they didn't heard from Geoffrey, so he's kind of okay, we're gonna catch up, but I got a lot to do. We're gonna catch up in a second. So Geoffrey kind of tells Phil I have to pay my dues in order to get out, and I gotta pay my dues by being in the game. So he's going back to the game. He can't buy his way out. So with that, he asked if he can clean money through Legacy Heights. And Phil's kind of just what? You want to clean? Do you know how much this means to me? And so he's really not going for that. He don't want to do that, because he said this is very monumental for him, and he doesn't want to do it. So then Carl finds Will, and he gets in the car, and Will's kind of telling him get out of here, whatever. And Carlton just goes doing the right thing is overrated. People just expect the worst from you anyways. And I'm just assuming that's probably because he was in that college room and realized all them years of being a goody two shoes, getting the perfect scores, doing all this was not gonna get him where he wanted to get, and ultimately he needs this life-changing story in order to catch somebody's eye. So Will and Carlton, they grab a bat, and they tear that Jeep up. I'm talking about going to town on that Jeep, right? And that's where the episode closes off. Okay, so opening up on episode 2, Carlton, he's obviously freaking out that the news, he looking at the news, he's two black men that has just tore up a car in a suburban neighborhood, and nobody has said nothing on the news. So Phil calls the family to talk right after that, and they nervous, oh shoot, hopefully this ain't us getting in trouble. And Geoffrey is revealed to the family, and you can see the relief that Will has seeing Geoffrey. And Geoffrey just reassures them guys, I'm sorry about what happened, but you all are safe now. And everybody kind of, before everybody dispersed, Ashley's what happened to your arm? And I think Geoffrey was going to tell the truth. Phil cussed him off and was boxing accident, cool. So then family dispersed. Will meets up with goes after Geoffrey. He's boxing incident, right? And so he was Geoffrey, I heard what happened. I saw you, he's trying to get the real. He's I can't handle the truth. I know you gonna want to tell me stay in the kid's business and this, that, and the third, but I can handle my business. And so Geoffrey, kind of talks. He said, no, you don't handle your business. You're a scared little boy. And he confronts him about him busting up the car, telling him nothing has happened because of his protection. So I guess he's speaking of I don't know. I didn't really understand if he was talking about because he's in that gang, now the whole family's protected. I don't know. So, but you can see Will is up speechless, and you can start to see the regret in his face once he finds out that Geoffrey knows. So, boom, it's homecoming, right? And everybody getting asked to Hoko. Carlton gets asked to Hoko by the cheerleader. That was funny though. Her name's Marisa, and Amira sees, and you can see Carlton look over and he notices it, but he kind of brushes it off. Then we got Will. He asked Lisa to Hoko, putting some confetti in the locker, open it, boom, whatever. So then we go to Geoffrey and Phil. Geoffrey asked again about Legacy Heights, and Phil is not going for it. He's Viv is pregnant. I'm trying to do something legit. I'm not trying to stress her out. I'm not really trying to get in it. And it just seems to me Geoffrey is really becoming to be collateral damage. You know what I'm saying? Obviously he did so much for the family, but it seemed he's becoming collateral damage. So he, Geoffrey kind of comes off strong, letting it be known no isn't gonna fly around. But Phil's hold on, last time I checked, this is my house. Who are you speaking to in my house? So Geoffrey ends up backing down, and then we go to Carlton and Amira, right? And they talk, and he's trying to tries to clear up what she saw. He lets her know, like, I ain't gonna lie, like, I moved on, and I don't want to be tied to my past of like being a coke addict. And she obviously takes it wrong, because she's like, oh, like, so being with me has kind of, you know, made you do something like, oh, you don't want to be tired of being with me. And he's like, no, it's not that. You talk about it a lot, and I don't want to talk about it, you know. So right then and there, like, a dude named Kareem throws a football up. He asks Amira to Hoko, and from there you can see the jealousy on Carlton's face. And I'm like, It's funny, because men do not be wanting you. They be so moved on until they see that other people wanna, you know, piece out of you. And it's like, that was funny, right? So Viv is picking up on the energy with Phil and Geoffrey. She's like, you know, what's going on between y'all? Like, I'm seeing like the whispers, the this or that. So he spills the details, and Viv is just like, oh my gosh, like, so much for being safe, right? You know, like, so like, I thought he was supposed to be keeping us safe. Ashley gets asked to Hoko, right? Eli comes in. I think, did he have a ukulele or a guitar? I think he had a ukulele. He comes in with the ukulele, and, you know, do what it is, it brings attention to her. And they're like, these kids like, oh my gosh, are you the Ashley Banks? Like, they're fangirling over her a little bit. And she's like, oh my gosh, like, she's so hyped. And then she's like, wait, you know me? And then that's when the kids start talking about her siblings, like Hillary Banks and then Carlton, and that kind of dims her light right then and there, right? So Eli kind of sees that. He helps try to bring that back up. He's like, no, she's iconic, like, let her cook. And boom, Olivia walks in and says, no, she's not. Olivia was the girl who Ashley had a prior relationship with, because you remember she came out feeling like she said she was bisexual. Ashley pressed the issue and was like, what's up? Olivia said, going from dating me to them. Now, let me stop. I don't know if Eli's pronouns are them, or if she was saying them as like kind of like trying to put him down. You know what I'm saying? I don't know that yet. So going from dating me to them, and then she calls her a flip-flopping B. I was like, whoa, whoa. So she don't say nothing, and then the girls who was fangirling, the kids who was fangirling, they walk away. And I just think, like, while I'm watching this scene, I just think so much, like, it is so crazy to me how much Ashley looks like Coco Jones. Like, I don't know Ashley's, like, real name. I just know her name in the show. But she looks a lot like Coco Jones. That's so interesting to me. So y'all remember Carlton's old, like, white friend that he used to kick it with and do coke with. He comes walking down the hall with a white set shirt on as a senior prank. And so they ask him, like, do you even know what it means? Like, and then he's like, giving like dumb meanings, right? But obviously they don't. So Carlton, they pressing him, and then Carlton's friends goes like, come on, like, you know me, man. You know how people like to get like, oh, you know me, like, it's just a joke. I don't act like that. And Carlton was like, no, I ain't going for that no more. Like, I'm not finna be co-signing your BS no more. So he's like, take it off. Like, so tell him take it all off, right? So one of them ain't taking it off. So like, hold on, you too, boy. So that's when the boy speak up. He say, how is it that y'all are able to be proud of your race, but we're not? So Wood just educates him how, like, black people are often discriminated. They don't have the best resources. Like, he was just going down the line how how often they're incarcerated. Just, everything that black people face. He was going down the list, and it was kind of shown that how everything was said was right. As soon as, like, he was done talking, the principal comes up to kind of like break up what was going on. And guess who the principal goes to? He goes straight to the black people, and he telling them to knock it off, and he ain't even acknowledge the white people. So then we go into another scene. So Viv just straight up asked like Geoffrey, because he pouring her some tea, and she said, how can I trust you? He starts going down the line of everything he's done for the kids behind the scenes and made their problems go away. He talks about like how Hillary was getting bullied at one point in school. He's like, you see how like, you know, they ain't getting, the dude all of a sudden just wanted to transfer, like just naming everything that he's done for the kids, and just kind of wraps it up and say like, I'm still the same man, and I will continue to protect y'all with my life. And then, you know, Vivian, she feels very like, what's the word? She feels very like reassured with that from him. And so close it off, right? So Amira is outside. She's doing a dance team, right? She's like, hey, I'm tired of this new girl stuff. Like I'm finna pop my ish, right? So she basically makes a joke at Lisa and was like, you know, you goody two shoes, like basically you got that goody two shoes image. And Lisa kind of was like, I don't really like that image for myself. Like this senior year, like what am I gonna be known for? Like Lisa, the good girl, like. So she's struggling with her good girl image is in terms of what's going on here. So then we you know, we go to a scene. She's talking to Carlton and Will and what's that other boy name? The light-skinned boy, I forgot his name. Shoot, I forgot his name. The other boy who's a part of Black Says. Dang, I can't remember his name right now. So they all just talking about like they calling her auntie and stuff, which is kind of like playing into the fact that like, oh my gosh, like she really not gonna feel secure with how she is, her image. And so then she reads on her phone, and due to what happened, the school sends out an email and they say like the campus has banned all controversial logos, and it's an all-inclusive school, so everything is becoming combined. So any black union, Latin groups, any groups that was specified to a race and was now like was now all combined. So it takes out the whole purpose of having like a space that was just for that certain race. And so now Lisa's like, okay, I guess we're just gonna have to rally now. And Will makes a good point, and I feel like that's a point that's kind of relevant in like in today's world too. But he makes a point was just like, you know, like why are we always the ones who have to rally? And that's like that's just a reoccurring problem now. Like we're starting to feel like we're always the one who has to start something in order for something to change. Like we don't want to do that no more. So like I get why Will was saying like he's like, I'm not finna be spending time rallying per usual. I'm gonna enjoy my hoko. Instead, what we're going to do is we're gonna throw our own hoko. We're gonna throw a Black Says hoko. So then that's when they start, you know, putting together the Black Says hoko. They spread the word, and you know, everybody like, yeah, I'm coming. So while this is happening, right? While this is happening, they turn around, Ashley getting Ashley arguing with Olivia again. She like, say it to me again. And she said flip flop and B. So Ashley tearing her up, got Olivia on the floor. Boom, 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 boom. So then Carlton, you know, he snatches Ashley up. That was the end of it, right? So Lisa goes to Amira. She's like, I want to be on the dance team now. Like, and Amira's like, are you trying to do that because of what I said? Like, I was just playing with you. And she's like, I just want to, you was right. Like, I just need to change up. So, boom, she gets her on the team. So, Ashley, so we get to the hoko scene, and Viv is trying to, like, kind of lecture Ashley about what she did, and Ashley don't even care, bro. Ashley don't care what she talking about. And then this is kind of, I feel like this is kind of foreshadowing for how Ashley is finna start acting, and she's getting her teenage years now, so she got that attitude going on. And so, boom, Lisa come out on the dance floor. It's hoko. She killing it, and I'm peeping like Carlton looking in the mirror down, like he's just impressed, right? So I'm like, hold on. And so Ashley, she steals alcohol out of their house for her friends. Will and Lisa catches her, and they pull her to the side. They're like, bro, what's up with you? Like, what are you doing? And she's like, she just doesn't want to be in the she doesn't want to be in the shadows of her siblings. And she was like, not especially not Carlton. And then it pans over to Carlton, and he in that he was hitting the mess out of that judge. That part was so funny to me. But so they basically tell her like, you don't have to show out in order to not be seen as the rest of your siblings. And Lisa also, tells her like, a reputation does follow you throughout your high school years, so you want to make sure to not ruin your reputation and think thoroughly how you want to be seen. And I think that kind of like sat with Ashley, and she was like, okay, like, you know, y'all right. So then it goes to Carlton and Marissa is her name, or Sharissa. They dancing, and then next you got Kareem and you got Amira dancing, and Amira, she throwing it back on Kareem, and Carlton cannot stop looking at her. I'm talking about he's not even making it the slight bit. He's making it so obvious that he's looking at her. And so that's when, you know, they catches on. She was like, oh man, you could have just went with her, like, if you wanted to go with her. And it's like, wait, no, that's not the problem. So then Viv and Phil comes back, and Geoffrey, they come back, and the house is broken into. And I feel like a lot of this is gonna start, like, what's going on now, I feel like this is gonna start making Bill reconsider having that baby, because they have a lot going on. And then you have your house just got broken into, and I'm bringing a baby into this house like soon. So Geoffrey turns around, he says he's sorry it happened, but like, this is what happened when you say no. He's speaking of, like, you know, them cleaning money through Legacy Heights. And so Phil just was like, set up the meeting. And I don't know, but I feel like Geoffrey did that himself, or gave someone access to kind of push Phil to do it, because it just seemed ironic, because they was just like, how did they get past the alarms? And then he was like, oh, like, must have did some wiretap, something like that. But it was just like, Geoffrey is probably the only person who would know how to get past the alarm system. So I don't know, we might find out some more. This is just my conspiracy, I don't know yet. So Carl and Amira, they talk, and he just saying a whole lot of nothing. To me, he was saying a whole lot of nothing, but she makes it clear that I'm not your person anymore, and I'm no longer second guessing myself, my worth, and it took you losing me in order to notice, like, how much I meant to you, or like my worth. And, you know, just kind of just disses him off, because they ended up hugging, and he tried to like kiss her, and that's when she said all that. But I like that she's standing her ground, because Carlton really tried to play in her face, like telling her, like, oh, like, I got all these girls on me now. I don't want you. But then she said, you know, saw her with Kareem. Now he changed it up. Now he want her back. Like, you know, that was funny to me. I'm glad she did that. So Lisa and Will, they announced Hoko King and Queen. Meanwhile, they in this shack getting it on. And I'm talking about, they come out and they make it so obvious that they were just in there doing it. You know, Will coming up trying to pull his pants up, all that. And I don't know, my conspiracy is, I think it's gonna turn in something bigger than what we just, you know, saw. Because, you know, she did say, like, to what's her name? Actually, like, oh yeah, your reputation follows you, like. And then Lisa's so heavily on trying to set her new reputation. You know, people in the crowd was even like, I didn't even know she had it in her, like, all that. So I don't know, it might turn into something a little bigger, we don't know yet. So Phil meets Dominic, the head honcho of the group, and that's Geoffrey's sister, not by blood, but her dad took him in. He ends up killing the dad, and I guess this is why, you know, this is why he got to pay his debt back, right? So I had a key about when we found out who Dominic was, because if y'all had watched Power Ghost, that's Noma from Power, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why is she always in these top dog roles? But I ain't gonna lie, she be playing them inside them roles, so I'm excited to see her. I hated her so much on Power. She just really grinding my gears. But he agrees to clean the money, but he cleans it his way. He just doesn't want to get any investors involved. She's like, listen, all I want is results, so you fine with me. So then, since Geoffrey had hired security for the Hoko, Dominic gets mad. She feels like he's betraying her, and says, like, oh, I mean, I feel like I should have been protected from them, if anything. And she spills the beans and talks about what Carlton and Will did, and with the car. And she said that she made a call to her friends at the LAPD, and due to Geoffrey's disloyalty to her, because she said, you playing both sides, and that's not gonna fly with me. So in terms of that, I didn't call the police on your boys. So it ends off with Will and Carlton getting arrested. If y'all didn't recall, Phil did not know, so hearing all of this information, he was like, what all that. But yeah, they end up getting arrested, and then that's when we go into episode 3. So it starts with them standing in front of the judge, and they're taking full responsibility for their actions, and in result they're assigned community service and their driving privileges are revoked. So Will looks off and he sees his dad in the courtroom, and he's kind of happy to see him, and his dad gives him a motivating talk, and he invites him to, he's like, hold on, like, how would you feel, like, what you doing for Thanksgiving? Would you like to come to Phil's house for Thanksgiving? So Lou's like, yes, I'd love to come. So Will's happy that Lou came to the courthouse, because that was exactly the person he needed to talk to, because if y'all recall, Lou was in jail. And so he's talking to Phil. He's like, I want to bring him to the Lakers game. Like, he still got them tickets. Like, and Phil's just sitting here like, like, I'm here to help you too, and like, you don't have to just rely on him. I'm here to help. And he didn't say you don't have to rely on him. He's just like, I'm here to help. And that's what I was inferring what he was trying to say, though. So he was like, well, you told me to, like, Geoffrey gonna handle a lot of stuff, but I relied on him, and now I was almost in jail. And so Phil just tells him, like, don't rely on him anymore, you can just rely on me now. And so Will's like, all right, cool. So Carlton, the house stressing Viv out. It's not good. Cause Viv is already in a high risk pregnancy. She needs to have a smooth pregnancy. Y'all stressing my girl out, right? So Ashley is being a teenager. She got a smart mouth. She talking back. Carlton and Will almost just faced jail time. Like, so it's a lot going on, and she's just like, what can we do to help? And then she's just like, cause Hillary couldn't make it to Thanksgiving because she could say somebody not getting a flight, but realistically it's just because she's not gonna be on the show because of the fact that she has such a busy schedule. She's gonna be on the show eventually, but just I don't think she's gonna be on the majority of the show. She doesn't come home. She does all the cooking. Bill doesn't know how to cook. So they're like, what can we do? She's like, do better. Like, she's like, that's all I can say, just do better. So all the kids, Carlton riles up all the kids to help for Thanksgiving. And Geoffrey was like, I'm gonna head out. He's like, I'm gonna go somewhere. He doesn't say where he goes. I don't remember. So Bel's out on Thanksgiving, and he goes to the bar, and it takes him to a flashback, right? And so the flashback was just like him meeting Phil for the first time, and sit down, and he's just like, can I get a bourbon dirty glass, something like that. So they start bonding over that. So I love the scene in the kitchen where they're all just like singing. Dang, what song was they singing? I can't remember the song they were singing, but the whole family was just singing. They was having a good time. But it just shows you like how even during times of like trouble, the holidays really can bring out the happiness within families and bring families closer together. So I really did like that part about this show. So Lou comes through, and they done put the turkey in the oven, and Phil never turned that oven on. So he had just set the oven he set the oven till I guess the temperature is supposed to be on, but never clicked start. So Lou comes through, and he's like, I'm gonna help y'all fry the turkey. Like, that's all y'all gotta do. We just gotta put the turkey in here, right? So they out back, they frying the turkey, and this is where their ego battles start, because they don't have a good relationship. So while they all back, they start talking about Will, like Lou starts talking about like, can I really trust you with my son, because you just let him get snatched up. If that's the case, like, he could still be back in Philly, because I thought you were supposed to be keeping him safe and out of trouble. So he also speaks on how he just got a job in Philly, and he doesn't know how to break the news to Will. Ashley and Carlton have a heart-to-heart about how she's been acting, and Carlton gives her the big brother advice, and he's just like, look, like, me and Will, we finna be gone. Hillary's gone. You're finna be the big sister of the house. You finna have like a new sibling. Mom's gonna need you. She's gonna need you to step up. She's gonna need you to be a big sister. And you can tell that Ashley took in that advice. And then we go to Will, and Will is showing Lou all his books, right? And Lou gives him books that you should read, and on accident Will calls Lou his dad, because he's like, I think this is when Lou was about to tell him like, I got a job offer. So he's like, Will, and he's like, yeah, what's up, Dad? And he was like, wait, what? You just call me Dad? Like, you always call me Lou. And then Will was like, I guess it just felt normal. And so yeah, due to that, he just doesn't tell him that he got a job offer because he doesn't want to like run the vibe. Instead, he just shifts in like, oh, you still kept my MVP trophy from basketball. Blah, blah, blah. So then they at the table, they eating, and Carl asked Lou what prison was like. He was like, you know, we could have faced prison time. Like, what was it like? So he goes and tells him like what prison was really like, and kind of commends Carlton for having Will's back during that, like the car stuff and all that, like, you know, beating the car with the bat. And then Viv and Uncle Phil was kind of just like, no, like don't say that. That's not how he's supposed to do, like throwing his life away. Don't commend that. But he still, the point he was trying to make was just like, you had your cousins back at the end of the day, and I commend you for that. I don't think he was commending him for doing the act itself, but just having his cousin back. So then Geoffrey's still at the bar, and he makes a call to Penelope, checking on them, and then he has another flashback. So then this flashback was showing him meeting, like going to Viv and Phil's apartment, and he meets Hillary. Hillary looks like she's about 4 or 5 years old, and he brings in, you know, not Carlton, Geoffrey brings in flowers for Viv, and then brings in a honeybee for Hillary. So then we go to Phil and Lou. They having a ego battle. It continues, and he's digging at how Phil raises the boys, right? Because he's just like all you gonna do, like, what you feel like you're different than me just because you throw a little money at it, like, you know what I'm saying? Just because you throw some money at it and you get these kids off, you feel like you better than me. And that just leads to like Phil letting out that he's like, oh, but you can't even tell your own son that you're leaving. And so Will is just heartbroken by hearing this, and he's just like, you know, you leaving? Like, he's just like, son, like, it's just not cutting it. Like, cutting the hair ain't cutting it no more. Cutting hair ain't cutting it. Just not bringing in no money for real. Like, so I'm finna relocate and, you know, do this, that, and third. And Will kind of just like, all right, you know, cool. And just kind of just walks away. And you can tell, like, it's just like in a sense, like overall, like him relocating ain't really that serious, you know what I'm saying? But it's just the fact that like Will had already been abandoned before by his dad, and he felt like just as soon as he feels close to his dad and feel like he's getting his dad back, he gonna be able to share that time. It's like it just goes away. So I can understand how he felt during that. And Lou, afterwards, like Lou goes to Viv and apologizes for like ruining Thanksgiving, but then he tries to like flip it on Phil, like, oh, he just gets under my skin, you know how he is. And Viv is just like, she goes off. She's like, when can you take accountability for once? Because like, and she talks out like when Lou and Will's mom would be arguing back in the day, back in Philly, she had to come crashing on their couch, and Phil would always defend Lou, and she's like, this what you don't know is like Phil was always defending you to your wife. Like he was always defending you, and even when she wanted to leave you, because at the end of the day, like the only thing you got right was loving your son. That's the only thing you was doing good at. So she was actually like, you know, like make it work. Like keep doing your part. Go talk to Phil. Like make it work. Like y'all are both parenting and raising Will. So during this, Carlton goes up to talk to Phil and brings up, he's like, you know, you remember like when Will first got here and I really didn't like Will being here and I felt like I had to compete to be the better son, like, and he was like, yeah, like I remember that, like I was really going at it. And he just brings it full circle into saying like, you don't have to compete to be the best dad. Like me and Will, we're better together. Basically just showing like y'all are better together than when y'all are arguing. So they he goes up to, oh shoot, yeah, so Lou and Will talk. He reassures Will like nothing's gonna change between them just because he's leaving. He brings up college to him and was just like, you know, like me and your mom, we really stand by the fact that we don't think that you should let Phil and Viv pay for your college tuition. Like we feel like you should find it on your own. That was kind of weird to me though, because I'm just like, how else is he finna pay this? Like you know, I ain't gonna speak too much on that. I was just like, what? But I get they want him to grind for it on his own, but college is really expensive for y'all talking about y'all don't want them to pay nothing unless they finna handle up some money. I don't know. So So he was like, you know, I understand that, like, you're not really getting picked right now for these college offers. And he says, I don't want you to let that bring you down. And he says to him, like, control your controllables, focus on that, and let everything else go. And I liked how he was giving him some good advice. And, you know, he really feels like he couldn't really bring anything to the table for Will. Like this happens before the conversation he has with Phil, but, you know, we're gonna get into that. So they end up having a good bonding moment. And he shows him, like, how he knows how to play the piano, and, you know, just Lou dropping gems on him. Cool. So Ashley apologizes to Viv, and okay, wait, yeah. So I skipped the part. Yeah. So before Will and Phil was talking, I think they started talking after Phil and Carlton stopped talking. Yeah. So Lou was talking about. Did I say Phil and Will? I don't know. Phil and Lou was talking about how Lou was like, I just don't feel like I don't bring anything to the table. I don't have anything to offer. Like when he was facing jail, I felt like, oh, this is my moment. Like, I know everything. I can get him like some jail talk, like da da da. But he was just like, I just don't have all the resources. I don't have all the advice like you do. And just showing like they really was competing who can be the best dad. And Phil's just like, you know what? Nah, you have a lot to offer. You just even being here is doing a lot for him and stuff like that. So I'm glad they was able to have that moment where they're able to realize like what they are really here for, put all that pettiness aside, and be here for Will. So I like that. And so, but you see that he still has more to offer, even though he doesn't have all the money, even though he was in jail most of his life, like all that he gave Will, like, listen, focus on this, don't focus on nothing else, don't let anybody else tear you down. Cool. So then Ashley goes in there, she apologizes to Viv, and she says like, look, I'm gonna chill, and I'm gonna take on the big sister role. Like, Rebel Ashley is over with. And she ends up opening up to Viv, and I really like this scene because it's just like, Viv has been asking Ashley to open up, like, what's wrong with you? Like, talk to me, da da da. Ashley ain't trying to talk. She's like, why does she want me to talk to her so bad, da da da. But so now it's like she's opening up and she's telling her like, high school is hard and I can't find my people. And Viv just speaks some life back into her, like, you're amazing, you're this, you're that, and your people the right people will find you. Like, don't ever stress that. The right people will come to you. So episode starts to end with showing how Phil and Geoffrey officially came to be. So Geoffrey speaks like, so the night they had dinner, right? In one of the first, like the second flashback, the night they had dinner, Phil was talking about like, yeah, I want to start a law firm and with my buddies from Harvard, but like we just can't get no loan. Like all these banks keep denying us, da da da. And then he was like, oh, like, don't worry, it's gonna come to you. Like at the weirdest time, it's gonna come to you. And so Geoffrey, that's when they, go to it's another flashback and they go to the bar, and Phil comes in and was just like, it's just weird how like, he said, what did he say? Oh, a bank has approved me for a loan that I never even applied for. And then Geoffrey was just like, crazy how life works, right? And or life has a way of work, something like that. I had wrote it down later on. I'm gonna let y'all know. So he ends up saying like, okay, like Phil was like, how did you do it? Like, let me know, like, why? So Geoffrey was just like, the night you invited me to have dinner, like I felt like life wasn't worth living. Like he couldn't see his wife anymore, he couldn't see his son anymore, like, and he just felt like life wouldn't be the same. There was no point of him even being there. But like Phil inviting Geoffrey into his home with Viv and Hillary and having that amazing dinner and just feeling that energy, like, really just saved him. And he repaid the favor by getting him that bank loan. But obviously he doesn't like directly say it, but he is able to, what's understood don't need to be said. So it goes into present time, and Geoffrey comes back and Phil asks, why did he was like, what's the real reason you skipped out on Thanksgiving? And he said, due to everything happening, Will getting kidnapped, the boys, getting in trouble for being on the car, house being broken into, he feels like he doesn't deserve a seat at their table. And Phil mentions like the hard sentencing. The judge is known for giving harsh sentences, but gave the boys a diversion program instead. And Geoffrey said funny how life works. So that's what he said to him in the flashback in the bar. He said, like, when he's got the loan, he's like, you know, funny how life works. So then that's when it flips to that, and then says funny how life works, to show like, yeah, I had a hand in that. I want to know, what in the world do Geoffrey be doing to have a hand in all of this stuff? I would love to know that. Hopefully we find out, because we are learning more about Geoffrey's background. So Phil tells Geoffrey, like, look, we're better together, and he saved him a plate and tells him, like, you will always have a seat at my table. And that really warmed my heart. So then we got Phil and Viv in bed, and they talked about how, you know, they felt times was just much simpler when they were in that tiny apartment, and all they ever wanted was what they have now. And it just feels like, you know, you trade one stress out for another. And he's like, you know what, I apologize for everything that's going on, the money laundering, all that. And he tells her, like, I have a plan, like, I just need you to trust me. And I'm just like, I don't know what plan that is, bro, but like, that got me a little nervous, because I'm like, hold on, like, what plan? Like, is he finna snake out Geoffrey? Like, is he trying to make Geoffrey feel? I don't know. Like, I have a lot of conspiracy theories, and I'm just really excited to see what this season finna be like. And I hate that this is the last season, but this ends with Will. He's back outside. He's practicing basketball, and he's replaying what Lou had said to him, was like, you know, control the controllables, and that's how we just end the episode off. So far, these 3 episodes were leading up to a very good season. I'm very excited, and I hope, like, oh my gosh, there's gonna be a lot of drama. I wonder if a lot of the things I said within this video is gonna come back and said to be true. So yeah, thank y'all for watching this video. Let me know in the comments what y'all are thinking about these 3 episodes, anything that I missed. And I will be coming out with the review for Monday's episode. It's either gonna come out Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know yet. It should be Tuesday. But yeah, let's have a discussion in the comments about how y'all felt about these 3 episodes, and I'll see y'all in the next video.